Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, and this is Friday. It's Happy Friday. We hope for people that are listening, but for those that are going to listen to this on recording, you just know that we're having a good Friday. Hi, my name is John Raphael. I'm with the National Alliance for Direct Support Professionals. I'm the director of their educational services. We are pleased to bring another installment of our National Alliance of Direct Support Professionals Code of Ethics. We are doing this 10-part webinar series in tandem with and in partnership with the Regional Centers for Workforce Transformation, which are funded by the New York State Office for People with Developmental Disabilities. And we've been having a real good time with these. We've made these webinars very specific in some ways, made them short, made them very meaningful, but ultimately made them to correspond with each of the 9 parts of the Code of Ethics, the NADSP Code of Ethics, which is adopted in New York State and it's utilized hopefully by all the direct support professionals in New York State and certainly hopefully around the country. These webinars are meant to be quickly listened to, but hopefully you'll take the information from these webinars and you'll be able to then have conversations afterwards, at work, with the people you support, with your fellow direct support professionals, with anybody that's interested in the topic at hand. These recordings of these webinars are going to be archived on the Regional Centers for Workforce Transformation website, which is workforcetransformation.org. And also on the NADSP.org website, we will archive all of these webinars. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our presenter. And our presenter today is one of my friends and my dear colleagues, Chumi Connie Tversky. So I give it over to you, Connie. Relationships.
Thank you, John. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I just want to warn you that this is not what my voice sounds like, and I kind of missed the part, John, where they said that they were going to have this as a recording on the RCWT website.
Yes.
I would have had a voice change before this. Yeah, I would have done something about that. So I do have to apologize because I am a little bit sick. So the good news about this not being in person, most of the time we complain about it not being in person. The good news about that is that I'm not going to breathe on all of you and share whatever it is that I have. So, John, I just want you to know I'm being very ethical here in supporting people's physical well-being.
Okay.
So I did that.
I've put that in your note. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm not going to give you much information about me. If you want to know that, you can read about me. But I have been working with the NADSP for a little while. I kind of met John and Joe by accident, and it was a very lucky accident. And since I'm very limited in time, I'm going to probably talk pretty quickly. And of course, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is relationships. So let's get to it. Here we go. This tends to be a lot of our reactions to anything new that we get or anything new that we hear about. Oh, not again. Like, what is the state doing? Don't they have time to do anything else? Why do we have something new to do? Let's just get this out. Let's just make this a read and sign, hand it off to our staff and move on with our lives. We are all so busy, and we are. We've got lots of responsibilities, lots of things to do, and we want to make things happen. And we've got this code of conduct which is very similar to our code of ethics. We have, this new competency, these new competencies. We've got a competency tool to go with that. And now we've got the code of ethics. And there's this new CCO thing happening. So, what do we need this for? And the answer is very, very simple. And that's the answer. The answer is that the people that we support, the people that we're working with, want a life. They don't want a service. And we all do some really good work. And I've been many places. I've traveled a lot with Joe and John, and I've seen the work that DSPs do, that providers do, that families do, and that everybody does. And we do some great work. But there is a question that we need to ask constantly, and that is, can we do better? What more can we do? And how can we continue to change and help the people that we support have what they feel is a life and not a service? And, that is really a work in progress, and it's something that we have to work hard on. And I hate to say it, but we've got a ways to go. And if we treat the Code of Ethics like this is a living, breathing document, that will happen, and it truly will happen. I look at this on a regular basis. I refer back to it when I'm confused or not sure how to handle something, and I know that many of my colleagues do too. So if used correctly, it can make a huge difference. Let's talk about relationships. So, definition, the way in which two or more people are connected, or the state of being connected. And, we all can probably, if you think off the top of your head about some relationships that you might have, I'm sure that you might be able to identify a couple of people in your life that would fit into this definition. And in every topic that I bring up now, instead of my repeating it each time, I'd like you to think about the people that we support and how this might apply to their lives. So I'm going to do this with one of them. People have relationships. Yes, they do. But who do they have relationships with? Do they have relationships with their DSPs? Do they have relationships with their friends at day program? Do they have relationships maybe if they live in a group home with their friends at the home? And were these relationships that they chose, that they planned? Or did this sort of evolve, and are they not really relationships, but rather somebody that I can talk to because they're there? So just something to think about. And again, I think that what DSPs do for people is absolutely outstanding. And what we do at the NADSP is focus on helping DSPs get to the top of the page and do the best work that they can do. At the same time, the people we support want relationships with somebody other than their DSPs, with people in their lives that are meaningful to them and not to everybody. It's not what we have in our lives, but who we have in our lives that counts. And I think that we need to remember that it's not the what, but very much the who. So here are some questions that I'd like you to ask yourself while you're listening to this. Do I fit in? Am I different? Or am I similar to most other people? And do people like me? I'm sure that on one occasion or another, we ask ourselves this, but do we ask it to ourselves every single day? And that's something that we need to think about, because it tends to be that if somebody's different, they're bound to be lonely. When my son was little, he was in school, and he wasn't exactly the same as all the rest of the kids, and he was bullied because he was different. And the fact is that the people that we support may be different than, people around them. And as a result, they tend to feel lonely. Who's my support network? Obviously, besides ice cream, which is a wonderful support network. And what would my life be like without that person? Without that person that I can call and say, oh my God, I just got off this webinar that my boss made me listen to. What a waste of time. Or did you just hear what that person did? Did you hear what she said? We've got that person that we can talk to. Most of us have that person that we can talk to. Now, think about the people that we support. Who might they talk to besides their DSPs when they have something that they want to share? There are some people in life that make you laugh a little louder, smile a little bigger, and live just a little better. And when we think about our support networks, that's what we think about. Another question, do I have someone to call when I do something stupid? Now, I have to tell you that I am the master at doing stupid things. I excel at it. It is one of my arts. And, I have people that I can call and say, hey, that big bag of dried strawberries that you just bought me that has about 6,000 calories of sugar, and I'm pre-diabetic? Yeah, I just ate the whole thing. And that person is going to say, wow, that is just so ridiculous. They're not going to lecture me. They're not going to give me the should have speech. So, hey, don't you know about your health? And aren't you aware of what your diet is? No, I can do something stupid, and that's okay. And I don't need someone to complete me, but I do want someone that can accept me completely. Just another little bit of food for thought. Do I have someone in my life that I'm connected to and that I've been connected to for a while, that I know that that person is there and that person accepts me, flaws and all. They know I'm not perfect and they've been around for a while and I screw up and they screw up and all of that's okay. And that person is, they're my Nemo. And if I go off the grid, I know they're going to find me. And they're going to say, hey, what's up with you? What's the deal? I haven't heard from you in a while. All right, let's go. Let's figure this out. Let's get this together. That continuity, that person in my life who knows me good, bad, and ugly, that is very, very important. Am I valued? Do I matter? Does my input matter? Do I matter? What do people think when I walk into a room? Does somebody want my opinion? The challenge of disability is to always believe you matter and your life has value when you are treated as a living inconvenience. Now, we would all like to believe that this statement is far from true, but it's not. And people with disabilities will tell you that they feel like they're a living inconvenience. So think about that. Am I respected? Does someone want my opinion or feedback? Is someone interested in what I have to say? Does someone stop and say, hey, wait a second, you know what? I'm going to ask Connie what she thinks about this because I want to get her take on it. John O'Brien says that when people not used to speaking out are heard by people not used to listening, then real change can be made. And that is absolutely the truth. And part of what all of us do, and every single person on this call does, is we support people that are not used to speaking out to be heard. And as that change evolves, real change happens. And the world and the tapestry of the lives of the people we support will definitely change. What opportunities do I have in the community? Am I part of a volunteer group? Am I part of a congregation? Am I part of an exercise class? Am I a board member somewhere? Of course, I had to stick in the neighborhood pub. I did that for my friends. Am I part of a book club? Do I belong somewhere? Do I have that place? And, where I walk in, I'm pretty sure that's a Cheers theme song, but that was before my time. But I think this theme song is where everybody has a name. Isn't that what it is, John?
That's correct.
I think it's something like that.
Everybody.
Yeah.
You'd like to know where everybody knows your name.
Exactly. It's where everybody knows your name. We walk around and there are places we go and people will walk by you and go, hey, what's up? How you doing? Or I haven't seen you in a couple of days. And that, says to us that we belong. We have all known the long loneliness. And we have found that the answer is community. And that is no different for the people we support. The answer is in a community, in us finding a community, in us finding a place where we belong, where everybody knows our name. Ask ourselves, what if I don't show up? Will anybody know I'm missing? And I know that Joe and John talk about this in, how do I know if I'm really included? Does anybody know when I'm not there? Does it make a difference when I don't show up? And I usually challenge people to think about if you were in a certain place right now and the building went into lockdown and your cell phones didn't work, would anybody know tonight that you weren't around, or tomorrow? At some point, would somebody say, hey, wait a second, I haven't seen John in a while. Let me check in with him. So if I miss that Zumba class that I go to, or if my, coffee group of friends, if I don't show up for it, I know somebody's going to text me and say, hey, what's up? Is everything all right? Lonely is not about being alone. It's the feeling that nobody cares, that it doesn't matter if I'm not there. Who am I? Who am I? And I understand that this is an existential question. And no, we're not going into a therapy session right now. But I'm sure that we ask ourselves this question on a regular basis. Who am I relative to the world around me? Who am I to the people around me? Who am I to my community? Who am I? And I saw this and I absolutely love it, so I had to share it with you. Who am I, you ask? I am made from all the people I've encountered and all the things I've experienced. Inside, I hold the laughter of my friends and the arguments of my parents, the chattering of young children, and the warmth from kind strangers. Inside, there are stitchings from cracked hearts, bitter words from heated arguments, music that gets me through, and emotions I can't convey. I am made from all those people and moments. That is who I am. And that is truly who we all are. We're all made up of those moments in our lives where in some way we're connected in a number of different places to a number of different things, to a number of different people. And we need to make sure that everybody can ask that question and answer it, and can answer it in a way similar to a way that we might answer that question. You know, one of the things that comes up when we talk about relationships, and I have worked with provider agencies that have said this to me. I have worked with family members especially that have said this to me, concerned DSPs, people that are involved in the lives of the people we support, and they say to me, well, you know what? Yeah, you know, somebody may get into a relationship and something bad might happen. Like, what if it's a bad relationship? What if it's a poor choice? What if they get hurt? Well, that happens. It happens to all of us. And I guarantee you that you guys can probably answer yes to one or more of those questions. I can answer yes to every single one of them. Have you been in a relationship and gotten hurt? Yes, sadly. Have you been betrayed? Absolutely. Have you lost a friend? Yes. Have you made a bad decision in a relationship? Yeah, more than one. And I think that we can all relate to some components of that. And what we don't allow for is for the people that we support and want to protect so much, we don't allow for them to have the dignity of risk, to take a chance, to have an experience. And maybe the experience will be a wonderful one, and maybe it won't be a wonderful one, but it's an experience. And experience, as we all know, experiences teach us things. Experience is the teacher of all things. And we all learn, and typically we learn from bad experiences. And people are going to have good experiences and they're going to have bad experiences, but experience is what makes up our lives, and it's what makes our lives interesting, and it's what makes our lives meaningful. Fear is really about loneliness, and the root of fear is isolation. And so many of the people we support are afraid of so many things because they don't want to end up alone or isolated. And it's just something that we need to think about. So what can we do? And I think what we can do is that we can pay attention to all of those things we talked about when we're interacting with the people that we support and people that we care about, and we can think about it. But in addition, pay attention. People are telling you things, pay attention, process. And don't just process the words, but process what's behind that word. Process what's behind what someone's telling you. And make sure that we listen, not just with a half an ear, but listen. Ask people questions. What's important to you? What do you like? What do you want? What are your dreams? What are your goals? And it's important that we not judge people's relationships. Sometimes people have relationships that we don't understand. And it's really important that we not judge it, but we learn about it. We ask them questions. We find out what that relationship means to them. And it's important that we not insert ourselves into relationships where we don't belong. We need to take a step back and watch it and see if somebody needs our support, then they can ask for it. And we can be there for people when they need us to be there. And watch. Try something new. If somebody wants to have a new experience, you might suggest a couple of things. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work, maybe it'll be a terrible experience. But let's be open to trying new things. Let's be open to trying something different. And let's build on what works. If we try something, a little small something, and we take that one small step for mankind, and that one small step works, well, then let's take that second step. Don't stop there. So, Joe always uses the example of that Yankees game and that person who loved sports and wanted to go, and he was so involved with the Yankees, and his DSPs worked really hard to get him to that Yankees game, but then they stopped. Don't stop there. Take it to that next level. Build on that. Help a person find a Yankees fan club, Yankees friends. Maybe somebody can volunteer somewhere and become more a part of the community. So it's important that we do that. And we need to be patient because relationships take time. We need to build them one brick at a time. And we need to remember that everything is a process, especially relationships. When we help build relationships, we help people build relationships. It's who we know, it's not what you know. We may know somebody that has similar interests, whether somebody likes quilting or going to a baseball game, likes a certain sport that we don't understand. Like for me, that would be soccer. I think it's just football gone wrong. So we need to help connect people. It may be a certain type of music. It may be a certain place that people enjoy going to. Help connect people. I know I'm limited on time, so we're finishing up, just to let you know. Help people make phone calls to people that matter in their lives, or to somebody they just met that they care about. Help them pick up that phone and follow up. Help them go visit somebody that matters. And it doesn't just have to be on Mother's Day, on Christmas, or on Thanksgiving. But people can pay a random visit. Help people send emails if they're able to use modern technology. I'm still on AOL, so I'm not the person to talk to, but help people send emails. Help people stay connected and stay in touch. Help people remember birthdays of others that matter to them. We want people to remember the birthdays of people we support. We have to talk about reciprocity. It's got to be a two-way street. And help people maintain those relationships. All of this is about maintaining a relationship, not just having that one-off Yankees game, but continually working on keeping that relationship alive and reconnecting and reconnecting and reconnecting, so that builds a relationship. And that is super important to people being able to have relationships and keep relationships. So we just touched upon relationships, and that is one of the 9 tenets of our code of ethics, as you can see from here. And relationships is one of the key tenets of the code of ethics. It is super important to people, and it connects them to so many other things. And in order to help people build and maintain relationships, we have to use all of these code of ethics. We have to keep them alive, because every single one of them is going to be involved in helping people build relationships that matter to them. Here we have the preamble to the code of ethics, and we urge you to read this, and it kind of gives you an outline to what, of course, our vision, purpose, and mission are, and the mission of the DSP in using these code of ethics. And as long as we're using our values, which is our code of ethics, our skills, and our knowledge, we are going to help people truly build better lives. John, do you want to touch upon that?
Yeah, I think it's important that, and we pretty much cover this in all of these in all these webinars, that the preamble, when you read through it, and it takes just a few minutes to read through, it really sets the foundation for why we do what we do and what the importance is in terms of having a code of ethics in doing what we do. So the preamble is it's beautiful. I read it all the time, and it's something that it sounds kind of corny, but the reality is to read that really can reignite a DSP. It certainly reignites me. So I really recommend.
Yeah.
I recommend it a lot. So Connie, I think we have a couple questions.
Okay, I have 2 more slides to go through, so
sure.
bear with me for a
Sure.
second. This is key to everybody who's listening to this. Don't be silent when it matters. Sometimes we just say, hey, I'm just going to let it go. This isn't really important. Or, people will work it out, or they'll be fine. And that is absolutely not true. The philosophers are wrong. It's not words that kill, it is silence. It is the silence in people's lives. It is the silence in their relationships. It's the silence in their communities. And most importantly, it is our silence. We do not have a right to be silent. And of course, we challenge you to bring these code of ethics into every part of your organization, into daily practice to use them. And again, this isn't a piece of paper that you read. It's a roadmap that's going to get you through all sorts of interesting situations throughout your career. And it is very, very much a live document. It's something that has to be living and breathing for it to matter.
Beautiful.
Our job is to connect to people, to interact with them in a way that leaves them better than we found them, more able to get where they'd like to go. Remember, it's where they'd like to go.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm done talking, John.
Well, first off, thank you, Connie. Amazing. You nailed in this 20 minutes or so, basically the tenet of the code of ethics in ways that I think direct support professionals specifically can really relate to. So thank you for that. And the memes are awesome. I mean, they really are. They're just,
yeah, I live on memes.
Yeah, they can be so inspirational. So here we go. Here's a question. This is a good one. And we have about 5 minutes for questions. So what do you do when a person that you support becomes friends with someone who is questionable, quote unquote questionable?
Wow, I wonder what questionable means, but I'm going to go back to judging people's relationships. So I would say two things. We are there for a reason. And this goes back to what the NADSP refers to as informed decision making. So we're going to be asking people questions, the people that we support. We're going to be listening to them. We're going to be hearing what they're saying and what is it about this relationship that's meaningful to them? What is this relationship doing for them? And again, I don't know what questionable means. If it means it's different than my own ethics or beliefs, and that's what the preamble addresses, then I have to figure out, is that something that I'm struggling with because it's different than what I believe to be correct? Or is this something that can put that person at risk or in harm's way? And if it is something that can put that person at risk or in harm's way, then I am going to talk to somebody, talk to that person, and have a conversation with them and give them information and talk to them about my concerns and hear where they're coming from. Just like I have had some pretty questionable relationships. I got to tell you, John, you're pretty questionable.
I've been told.
And I don't mean to make light of the question at all. I think it's a great question. But I think that we do have to take into account that our own values, that we need to ask people questions and we need to listen to them and listen to where they're coming from.
Absolutely.
And then take it from there.
Absolutely. And I think that's really sage advice. And to always remember that no direct support professional is an island. There's always a team, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a supervisor, a family member, whoever it might be. If there are things that are questionable when it comes to certainly harm, and that's where we get into when we think about confidentiality. That's another one of our codes. But the reality is, we do have to. Sometimes that will have to take a secondary spot when we are looking at safety. And there it is. Once again, in this little answering this question, how amazingly complex it is to be a direct support professional, because relationships, they're not easy things to begin with. But to help people foster relationships, oh my goodness, it's a wild jungle, So let me see if there's any more questions. I have a whole list here. Let's see. Here we go. The information was great, but it is so difficult for the DSPs that I work with to be able to stay positive, because even with small pay raises, they are barely able to keep food on their table for their families. They work 2 and 3 jobs, and the third job, and then they can barely stay awake, which I think I'm going to just kind of edit this question, that it's hard to, I think, for some direct support professionals, I think this person is asking, it's hard if your personal life is so perhaps difficult, and we get that. How can you be that person, that professional that's going to be doing all this relationship stuff? I guess that's the question.
Hmm. And yeah, I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Part of what we do is we are very focused on helping direct support professionals be valued for the incredible work they do, for the variety of skills that they have to use on a daily basis. And there's no question that people are exhausted. They've got 2 or 3 jobs. They've got stuff going on in their own lives, and it's a challenge. People will also tell you, excuse me, that the work they do is very rewarding, and that they truly love the work that they do. And part of the reason that they do is that they're drawing from reserves that they have, knowledge that they have. Sorry, I'm in the process of choking here. And people are drawing from the stuff that they are learning, such as the code of ethics. And that is when the code of ethics becomes that living, breathing document.
Exactly.
Because I'm so tired, because I'm worn out, because I don't have the energy to do so many of these things, I got to go back and read that.
Yeah.
And I have to refer to it.
Yep. No, I think that along with, I mean, wages are important, obviously, and I think all of us, including, many advocacy groups, there's wage campaigns going on. We get it, we know, we realize it, and it's vital. But I think, in spite of that, direct support professionals have an absolute obligation to act, ethically and competently. Regardless of the level of pay, it's still a profession that has to be abided by in terms of professional ethics. So, I
Absolutely.
think we have come to 2:30. And I think I would like to thank Connie once again for this great presentation, all the great memes that we saw, but more so the message sent to all direct support professionals about really, really identifying yourself in terms of how you perceive your role as a direct support professional, but also that the main thing about being a direct support professional, one of the main things, is we have to foster people and help them build relationships. And we can only do that if we really understand what relationships are. But with that said, Connie, thank you very much. And everybody
You're very welcome.
listening to us right now, stay tuned for the next installment of the Code of Ethics. And we hope to see you next month. Thank you very much.
Have a great weekend, guys.
Thank you.